Hi everyone, Craig here, Product Manager at Broker Engine. One of the things I wanted to achieve in my practice, and I'm sure we're all the same, is to have a client for life. Deliver such a great experience to the client that they not only raving referrers, but they also, you are their go-to person, you are their go-to company for anything finance related. And one of the things, obviously, apart from delivering that great experience throughout the loan process so that they do want to come back and use you again, is to keep in touch with regular reviews of your client, regular proactive reviews of your client's portfolio. And a lot of brokers, and myself included, struggle to keep up with reviews. There's always a new lead to be written, or a spot fire to put out over here, or a new referrer to meet, or something like that. And so often what happens is, regular proactive reviews, sort of fall by the wayside. So all brokers, I think, want to do them, but there's just never enough time in the day. So I'm going to walk you through how I've solved that in my practice. And in my practice, we use Broker Engine, and I'm going to walk you through in some detail about just a couple of details around how we manage that inside of Broker Engine. So firstly, we'll jump into settings, and we'll just explain the concept of reviews and how they work. So if you come into settings, you'll find a section called Client Reviews. And from here, you'll find that we have 4 triggers. Okay, so when are we going to trigger a review? That is the question. When do we want to review this client? The first trigger, or what I call really a catch-all, is you set your scheduled client review. So my default review schedule at the moment is set to 12 months. You can change it to 3 or 6 months, or only when there's an expiry date coming up, or no review at all, of course. So what is your default schedule? My default schedule is 12 months. And when it's been 12 months, it'll actually create a card on the review board, which can then trigger workflows and so on. We'll cover that shortly. There's then a fixed rate expiry review, and this one here, you can set it to trigger X number of days. You control that. I have mine set to trigger 75 days before a fixed expiry date. So the concept here is that automatically on settlement, when your deal moves into settlement inside a Broker Engine, it'll set the fixed expiry date to 2 years or 3 years into the future, whatever it might be. And then 75 days, in my case, 75 days before that date, it's going to create a card or a task. I have a card created for my team to actually action the review. Hey, it's 75 days out from the fixed expiry date. Let's do a desktop val. Let's call the lender and double check their current interest rate and what the revert rate's going to be, check my commission still being paid, and a few other things. So one is a catch-all. Let's do one every 12 months. The override to that is we'll trigger one 75 days out from a fixed rate expiry to make sure we manage that. There's also an interest-only expiry in case it's an interest-only variable. So again, I've got mine set to 75 days. Why 75 days? I'd like to get to the client before the banks do. And the banks I used to have it set to like 50, but the banks are sort of getting in touch a lot earlier in the process now. So I've got mine set to 75. And then we've got finally a birthday review. Again, this is really one where you can trigger a review for their birthdays. Some people have it triggered to 7 days before to send out a cardly via Zapier, send out a nice handwritten card, or it looks handwritten, or some sort of gift or something like that. Personally, I keep it pretty simple. 1 day before their birthday, I trigger effectively an email to the client to wish them happy birthday for tomorrow. So they're your 4 review triggers. The top 3 ones are the ones we're focusing on for the purposes of this video. So step 1, we'll trigger a review X days before. If there is obviously no fixed, when a fixed or interest-only review triggers, given the default review schedule is 12 months, it'll actually set the next review to be due 12 months into the future from the date of the last review. So you're not going to have a situation where you've got a review triggered for a fixed rate expiry, 75 days before settlement, before it's due, and then in 75 days time you've now got the annual review due. It'll actually push out that annual review to be 12 months. So the schedule is dynamic, but the key thing to appreciate is this is your default schedule. It'll be overridden by these 2 if any of those apply. From here, it'll trigger, for me, I have it create a card. So again, step 1, the broker's too busy to do it, so we automatically trigger the review and create the relevant card or task. Secondly, it creates a card or task onto your board. So if I come into reviews here, it's going to create a card or a task onto this reviews board. Again, you can control the stages or let us know what stages you want as part of your process, as far as going through review on hold. We're going to do refinance, variation, pricing, and no change. And you do have full control over that workflow as well. A common workflow that I use is on when the review is triggered, I jump into my workflow and I have I'll pause for a sec. It's one for birthdays. So, this one here is going to trigger when this review will trigger. If you haven't seen workflow already, the trigger will be when the card is created into the birthday stage of my reviews board. And then there's an email to the client to say, hey, Mr. Client, happy birthday, with the merge fields. There's a move stage to review complete and archive it. So really it's just this very simple workflow. Another workflow that goes really well is you can do a workflow that goes when the review stage enters, for example, with broker recommendation or whatever stage you like. A really good, nice workflow is one that triggers a Zapier webhook. So it sends the client a text message with a link to your Calendly, and your client can then book in there, and then you can follow that up with a try call as well. So there's some really good sort of little workflows you can build as well to automate your workflow process. That includes things like emails, tasks, and so on. But you can sort of really, automate a lot of that review process for you as well. Finally, we've got some nice client-facing reports inside of Broker Engine. Here's an example of a pricing review report, where we're sort of demonstrating to the client that we've saved you some money. Here's your updated repayment details and interest rates and things like that. All right, that's a very quick but detailed walkthrough of our review process. Again, rather you don't have to build it all yourself from scratch. Out of the box, you do get some great templates already, but of course you can easily tweak and change that as I've shown you here. If anything's of interest there, please reach out to jump onto brokerengine.com.au and book a demo. Cheers and bye for now.